taught me how to be a man, strong where I stand, swallowing the pain, burn within my veins. So I remain calm, steady my palms, soulful hear my spirit in these songs. So sing along, because life goes on. We lose love even faster than it falls. So who you supposed to call when there ain't nobody there at all? Ain't no freedom of speak as you teach. You see, all we ever get is just a free dumb speech. I sat back and watched as the dope stole all I built. Come a long way, but I haven't broken the guilt. Full tilt till my skin will spit until I'm getting ill. Blowing like a windmill till I'm sitting still. Now I'm copping from the doctor, proper pain pill pimping. Either coming up or falling down. I'm on a cloud slipping, now I'm drifting. That's all in one day's prescription, like some
in the big scheme of things in the industry, you know, Alaska is just like a tiny little dot on the map to them. And you've got kids up here that are so well-rounded and so talented, and nobody even knows that we even skate up here, you know? No one even knows. All the time when I go to Long Beach, and they're like, yo man, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Alaska. And they're like, oh man, you guys skate up there? Like, oh, that's crazy, dude, you know? And it's like, nobody really knows. It's kind of like everyone's ignorant to the idea that they're skateboarding in Alaska.
Around 6 years old, on up till I was 16. Spent probably the good 10 years of my life living in and out of homeless shelters and on the streets. And when I was 13, that's really when I started skating. And like, I don't know, that's something that's always like been great about skateboarding. Is the whole time I was growing up. I've had my ups and downs and my struggles and everything, but my board's always been the one thing that I could fall back on that like never let me down. It's always been there for me. And so just like, I don't know, just being able to get on my board and just push away, just like forget about everything for a while was like the greatest feeling ever. I'm going on 18 years. There hasn't been one day where I haven't not thought about skateboarding. Started in Red Lodge, Montana. My mom's boyfriend's brother had this little birdhouse board, Tony Hawk, that he hooked me up with, man. I pretty much got hyped on that and started shredding there, man. It was kind of crazy because I was living out on a ranch, and of course, there ain't nothing to skate out on a ranch, but somehow I managed to rig up a couple little plywood spots around there and started learning tricks. So, that was about 18 years ago I started skating. I think at the point where I really decided I wanted to make a film is when I moved back here in like 2009. I mean, there was like a different scene up here. The vibe had changed, and like, didn't really seem like there was too much going on. I mean, there was still guys, you know, trying to make some little local videos, but it seemed like the scene had really lost its hype and fell apart, and like, there wasn't really anybody pushing to actually get people up here noticed. And I mean, I think that's really what really sparked my interest to start my own project.
You know, me and Dylan have always been boys, like, since day one, and we were just like on our own mission to like do our own thing, and we just wanted to like find those guys that were like out there doing it, you know, that never got the chance. Yeah, me and Dylan have been trying to make a full-length video for 4 or 5 years. We started trying to make one when we were in Arizona, and you know, things happen, you know, you don't get as much footage as you want, and you know, riders move, or you know, whatever happens, injuries, all that stuff, and it just never really worked out. And then this was the year where like it all kind of came together, where you know, everybody started to like bring it in, and we were all meeting up, and we'd have a plan of attack every single spot. Everybody has their tricks they want to do, and we've been hitting it super heavy, and it's like, this is gonna be like you know, our pride and joy as far as like our video goes, you know, like this is like what me and Dylan have been trying to do for years, you know, and it's been his dream for about 15 years to have his own video.
I was meant to roll over land and sea. I was meant to climb high on mountain peaks. I was meant to search the word I know is true, finding all that's right, finding all that's good.
My name is Sam Medsker. I'm 23 years old. I'm from Anchorage, Alaska, born and raised. I've been other places, but Anchorage my home. And I've been on a board since I was about 7.
The lights that shine in Paris like a dream. The bus in Costa Rica buzzes no.
My name's Wes Wallace, 25 years old, been skating for 12 years. Moved here to Anchorage, Alaska 3 years ago.
Still takes my breath away. Hill-Denali. I was meant to love.
My name is Tim Blevans. I'm 26 years old. I've been skating for 16 years. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. Grew up in Fairbanks, Alaska. And about 4 years ago, I moved to Anchorage.
I was meant to hold.
My name is Ben Sherbahn. I'm 21 years old, born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska, and I've been skating for about 10 years now.
Have to find peace.
My parents got me my first board. I got a Nash board when I was like 7. Cruise up and down the street. I didn't really start on my knees, it went right to my feet. So I just fell in love as soon as I did it. First time, first serve.
Sam has been one of my best friends since I was like first grade. We met each other and we used to bike together. And then we found skateboarding and been skateboarding together ever since.
And he's just a good dude. I mean, like, he's probably one of the, you know, most genuine people that I know. Like, he's never changed since I met him. Like, he hasn't, like, friend swapped or, like, you know, done anything to, like, not earn your trust, you know? He's just a good, solid dude.
He really got his own style, because like 1 second he'll just be flowing, doing lines, and the next second he's like doing some tech trick on a ledge, so he's got a good style to watch. I like watching his skating. He's probably one of my favorite skaters to watch in Alaska, because the way he just flows through trick to trick and in lines, he puts it all together real well.
Sam is like I think he's like probably one of my favorite guys to watch personally, because he skates everything. I mean, he skates tranny, he skates ledges, he skates rails.
He's got stairs, handrails, everything you can think of, ledges. Everybody has their own unique style, and Sam is one of my favorites.
Holy shit! Oh my god, I'd like to thank my mama for the good reflexes. Oh my god, dude.
Oh, fuck my collarbone. Cons of skating here, short seasons. I mean, you can skate all year round if you find a parking garage like we do, but come wintertime, try skating in a parking garage that's open, just a little bit of cover and you're falling on the ground and bruising your hand. It feels like you broke it because it's so damn cold outside, so.
Oh my God, the ground sucks so bad. It's like if New York and a third world country had a baby. And that would be the ground we skate in Alaska. Permafrost, gravel, rocks. Everything's got a crack. The rails are friggin' curved.
It's really hard to skate in Anchorage, Alaska. You got a lot of rough terrain. You got everything. It's ridiculous, but we make it happen every day, all day.
The challenge is that we don't get all year, just 6 months to skate in the winter, in the summertime. And we got to rest up in the wintertime. We don't really do much because we don't have an indoor skate park or anything. So we just had to, as soon as summer hits, as soon as spring hits, we jump right back into it. It's hard, but we got to do it.
You know, you only get 6 months of like solid skating, and 2 of those months are pretty much fall, and then the other part is spring. So you just get this little gap in between where you got good weather, and so you pretty much got to crank out as much as you can, as fast as you can. It's pretty limited on like, you know, what you're able to do and when you're able to do it.
Man, in Alaska, if you're trying to get sponsored, you're trying to make a name for yourself, you got everything working against you. You know, you have a long winter, you have a lot of darkness. There's not really any indoor parks. There's a couple, they're really small, they're really cramped, and I wouldn't say that they're the most ideal places to progress your skateboarding. So you're very limited on progressing throughout the wintertime. And then once spring and summer does come around, it's still really crazy. The weather's really inconsistent, you know? It can be really sunny one week, but then the next week it gets freezing cold and it's just raining all the time. So, you know, weather is a huge factor with progressing in skateboarding. And if you're not progressing in skateboarding, you're not at the level where other people who are sponsored are, you know, you're just not gonna make it. You know, we're also disconnected from the industry. People don't even know that we really exist up here. I don't think people think of Alaska as a place to go skateboard. And I think that every pro or anybody that's come up here to visit is pretty blown away by the motivation up here and the level of skateboarding up here. So yeah, you got everything working against you. You got weather, you got a lack of spots, and you know, it's taken a while for us to get this shop to a point where we're actually recognized as a legit shop in the industry. And that also has a lot to do with getting riders' names out there, because every pro that has ever been started, you know, by skating with a shop crew and getting sponsored by a local shop. So it's tough, man. It's really tough out there here in Alaska, but I think you'll see that the level of skateboarding nowadays is pretty ridiculous, and hopefully with videos like this, we can expose Alaska to the world and really show people that we're here to stay and we're gonna keep producing ridiculous skateboarders.
I've been skating since I was, say 13, so going on 11 or 12 years now. My grandpa got me my first board on my 13th Christmas. Born and raised all over Michigan, mostly the Metro Detroit area, Wayne, pretty big area, so it's all over Michigan. Lived quite a few different states, Kansas, Florida, Texas for a little while. So back in 2011, enlisted into the Army, went through all my training, ended up finding out at the end that I'm coming to Alaska. Pretty big shock, so that's what brought me up here. It's pretty nice, real good skate scene. Summers are amazing, beautiful weather. Skate spots, very surprised. Probably one of the best skate scenes I've been around, actually. Pretty tight-knit group, so it's pretty cool.
Wes, I have not known for too long, but first time I heard of him, I just couldn't believe it. Just seeing somebody that crazy just pop up out of nowhere. It's really cool to have him because he hypes everybody up, you know, like watching him do a trick, I don't even want to skate anymore.
Wes, the new kid. Met Wes about 3 years ago. He actually moved up here with the military, and I guess like Tim was working at the skate park and they ran into each other, and Tim was telling me about this guy, and the first thing he does, we just take him to a handrail spot and he just annihilates this handrail. I'm like, I don't know, it's just, I mean, like rail skating and stuff like that, it's not something that I think is like big up here. People like do a lot more lines, ledges, like tranny type skate. But I don't know, it's kind of a bummer, dude, because like right after he got here, he got deployed and like had to dip out for like a year, so. But I don't know, I was sure to take care of him overseas or send him boxes of like shoes and shit like that. And, you know, just being sure that, you know, he knew there were still people, and he wasn't alone over there, dude. We just had his back.
The craziest thing about Wes is, you know, he did a tour overseas in the military and he didn't get to skate. We only talked to him for about, you know, maybe like 3 or 4 times. And, you know, he's just like, yeah, all I do is work out, you know, and I'm just working, like, I know we can't skate out here. And he's gone for a long time. It was like almost a year or something, like 8 months. And, you know, he comes back and then like the next week after he gets back, he's like, all right, man, like, let's go skate, dude. I want to film. Like, and it's like he never left, you know, he just immediately steps right on the board and just has it still.
Pros of skating here, after skating here for 3 years, not go anywhere else, I feel like I'll go to these spots people say are unskateable and just have no problem. Because I mean, spots here are just rough, grounds crunchy, rocks everywhere from all the rocks they put down in the wintertime for the ice, and then you got the ice breaking up the cement and the ledges cracking, so it makes it rough skating here, but when I go somewhere else it'll be that much easier to go to a rough spot and just do what I need to get done.
I'd say like the pros of skating in Alaska is that we may not have like the best spots in the world, and we don't really have too many skate parks, so, but it's like, you know, you don't really get hassled as much as you do everywhere else. You know, I go to LA and you go to a spot and you might not even get out of the parking lot before somebody busts you, but here it's like the most you're gonna get heckled is by a bum, realistically.
I'm gonna throw a call to the police.
Yeah, go ahead, call the cops. Leave me alone.
I mean, there's kids up here that are doing tricks that you see in the videos. People just don't know that we exist up here, so it's harder to get recognition. But these kids that are young just have no fear, and they just have all the motivation to try to get tricks and get clips. And I really like seeing that. Pretty crazy what is going on nowadays. And I think the only thing that holds back the progression even more here in Alaska is just the spots that we have to work with and the skate parks that we have to skate. You know, we don't have big handrails and big stair sets. It's a lot of ledges, a lot of technical skating, and we're dealing with some really rough spots. So for the skate scene to be where it is right now with what we have to work with is just crazy to me. I mean, if we were somewhere else like in California where there's endless skate spots and endless parks and you know, people are feeding off each other, constantly progressing year round, you know, it'd just be insane. But for what we have to work with, it's pretty crazy to see what people are doing now.
I fucking love French fries.
That's what happens when you land tricks.
Essentially, yeah.
Diabetes. Here I come.
Exposure, man. I think that it actually goes back to a video, Boarderline video that came out here probably back in the late 90s. It was a video called Northern Exposure. And I just remember that was one of the first, you know, skate videos I seen.
Exposure is kind of like an ode to like OG Boarderline days. You know, you've got this, you know, skate shop that was pumping out video every single year.
I mean, video was just so hype in my mind. I mean, just seeing these guys killing it. I mean, it's like, I mean, like I said, I mean, up here in Alaska, you see a video come out up here. I mean, those were the guys that we looked up to. I mean, they were our pros. And I mean, I was just a little dude watching this video, and there's guys like, I mean, Adrian Williams and Michael Hollinger. I mean, just seeing those dudes just rip up here was unbelievable, man. I mean, in my mind, these guys were killing it just as hard as, I mean, the dudes down in the lower 48 were. I mean, I think that's what really, sparked it for a lot of people up here was, these old Boarderline videos. They're just so hype, and it's like everyone was involved in them. It was like, the whole state. It was almost like the skateboard community came together to actually like make these videos, and it was pretty awesome. So I think that's what, sparked the name Exposure. Is that video that came out back then was Northern Exposure, and I just was thinking, exposure would be awesome because not only am I wanting to get these guys at exposure and get them noticed, but at the same time I kind of want to, pay respect to, what these guys did before us.
It's all about like the exposure of like how nobody knows we exist, In the big scheme of things in the industry, Alaska is just like a tiny little dot on the map to them. And you've got kids up here that are so well-rounded and so talented, and nobody even knows that we even skate up here, No one even knows.
Got my first skateboard when I was pretty young, so I didn't really think of it, Just kind of happened, started skating with my friends, and then it was an everyday thing, just went from there. And then I met all my friends, met Sam first, it was probably like 3rd, 4th grade. Ever since then, started skating, but it's pretty tough, When you're in the winters, you don't skate. When you first start skateboarding, you don't really think about it. And then when you first, you get into the passion of skateboarding, you realize you gotta do whatever it takes to go skate whenever you can, every day, all day.
I've known Ben since I was like 10 or so. We've been best friends since like 2nd, 3rd grade.
Ben is interesting because he's like, when he was like a little kid, he was probably like, 12 or 13 or something like that, and I was like 18 or 19, and he was good back then.
His style is just natural, raw talent. Just anything he wants to do, he'll bust it out. That's what I love. I love watching him skate because he'll just do something that, like, he can do, but you didn't think he can do it so well or so big. It's just natural, raw talent, sick.
He's probably one of the most consistent dudes. He's got the best feeble grind I've ever seen in my life. He could like party all night and then wake up the next day and go feeble grind like a 30-foot long sea rail.
Hell yeah, he's always pushing me, ever since we were a kid. Even when we were BMXing as kids, always pushed me because he'd do something I couldn't do. I had to try to do it. Even nowadays on skateboards. Sick.
There ain't no way around it, there ain't no way to scam. My music made me hella fans like I'm selling grams. Been in your city making sales going hand to hand, and now I stepped it up and revamped the business plans. Making connections in every section, it's sonic flow. Don't have no time for them hater rappers and silly hoes. And you know how the story goes, the more an artist get exposed. The more they hate, the more it shows, the more they say, the more it grows. I keep on pushing and people's knowing I'm about my biz. You see the logo on the promos, you know what it is. I'm independent, hustling hard, trying to feed my kids. It's up and down, I risk and gain, I take the pain, it's how I live. So while they take the tacky, jibber jatter, it don't matter. I'm in possession with intent to make my pockets fatter. And can't nobody stop it, I never slow my stride. It's Josh Boots, I'm in your system, let it start to ride. I used to do this so foolish, I truly had to learn. I made a lot of dumb mistakes and had to watch them burn. When I'd rather stay empty than letting them pit me, record me and skip me, then leave me all empty. That really don't tempt me. I'd rather have a fatter sack of dough that I could add up after shows and know exactly where it goes. Back in Arctic flow. Don't worry, be easy. The soldiers that lead me, I'ma take it there and make them really wish they believe me. I'm out there getting scratched, long rhyme until the dawn comes. And I done lost so many homies cause they on one. So get your weight up, get some paper, make some noise in this. Cause all this hatred in the street is getting poisonous. These little suckers is foolish for thinking I'm a fall. Alaskan grind, hustle hard, paper never stalls. To win the game, it ain't your ego when you pair of balls. You gotta follow certain etiquette and protocols. There ain't no time to take a break, there ain't no space to pause. I navigate and network and break a couple laws. Shake off a couple cops, head up a couple blocks. I hear these rappers catching feelings, wishing I would stop. I'm not there taking over, go ahead and shrug your shoulders. I'm blowing up like work, water and baking soda. Maybe they should've told you, you looking so surprised. I'm on the rise, there ain't no hurry, I'm just taking strides. I know my grind it, crack it quick and get the US Open. It's spread across the ocean so I can meet my dreams.
It's been a long road to this point. There have been some rough times and a lot of great times. I want to dedicate this part to all the people who helped me get where I am today.
We'll have to see if Borgstede is the new board stud.
Baby, in the ocean of my mind. Oh, baby, in the ocean of your mind. Was a thin divide. Baby, in the ocean of your
capable of that. During practice runs, he was throwing backflips and inverted spins. Oh, that's large. And there's a huge one right there. Oh, into the mud puddle.
Borgstede riding off the left side of the outrun. The crowd loves it. Hey, you get dirty for us, we'll give it up for you.
Well, I'll tell you, the mud puddle was fun, but what he did in the air was all time.
5 judges watching Jason Borgstede fly through the air.
Here Borgstede goes, doing a backflip with a 180-degree rotation after he gets done with the flip. Look at him there, pulling it through, and then swing it in the reverse of his normal stance.
And then the mud bog.
Hey, that's all in a day's work for him.
Usually see that at a tractor pull inside a stadium, but we're outdoors in San Diego. Borgstede moves into a tie for first, and he's either giving an autograph or maybe getting the number of a local dry cleaner to get the clothes cleaned up. There are 12 guys in all, 3 times over the big air kicker.
My name's Jason Borgstede, and I'm older than dirt. I don't really feel older than dirt, but that's what the kids would say. Well, skateboarding for me started in Southern California when I was taken to the video store by my mom, and we picked up a Powell video, Future Primitive, and I started saying to her, yeah, I want a skateboard. So got a skateboard, and all I ever did was ride it around, you know, just cruise the streets, had the dog pull me along. But then we moved to Alaska at the beginning of 8th grade, and to be honest, what got me into skateboarding really was I punched a kid in the face and I broke my hand. I was a baseball player and I couldn't do baseball season because of that. So I picked up the skateboard, decided it was time to learn how to ollie, got really into that. Spent the summer skating, and that was it. I was hooked, and there was no thought of baseball, no thought of anything else after that but skateboarding. And then the winter came and snowboarding followed quickly. Boarderline came into my life, I would say, they came around in my sophomore year, I think. And by my junior year in high school, I had convinced them to sponsor me. And after high school, when I graduated high school, those guys gave me one of my first jobs. They let me work in the store. And then a few years later, snowboarding started to pick up for me, and it all snowballed from there. When I was in high school, my friends and I just, for some reason, immediately gravitated towards grabbing the video camera. And at that point, it was a VHS camera, which was, if you don't know what a VHS camera is, you can Google it. But basically, picture a shoebox, putting that on your shoulder and filming with that. So that's about what it was. We had to carry the shoebox around in our backpack, film skateboarding, film snowboarding, whatever. My senior year, my friends and I would film each other all year long snowboarding, and we decided at the end of the year, let's make a video. We put together a hurtin' video. It was rough around the edges, to put it nicely, but we were in love with it. Scott Liska let us show that video at one of their movie premieres. They didn't do Boarderline videos at that point, but they would premiere big major snowboard productions, and he let us show ours first. Well, that's kind of where I ran into Jesse Burtner, and within a few years of that, we both decided he was doing the same thing. We should get together and do this. So 96, 97 winter,
we got together, we took all the footage we had filmed separately, then we came together, filmed kids during the summer skateboarding, asked for submissions, and that was the first video.
For me, Boarderline was pretty much almost everything for at least influencing me to want to skateboard and to progress. You know, obviously there was other videos at the time and pro skateboarders that I looked up to, but here in Anchorage, in the local scene, Boarderline was everything. All those guys that rode for the shop, Jason Borgstede, Michael Hollinger, Anthony Black, Mitch Edmondson, all those guys, man, and there's so many other guys too, but those guys really are the ones that were really visible to me all the time and that I really looked up to. You know, I'd go to the skate park and they'd be there straight ripping. And at the time, I was really intimidated pretty much by anybody that knew how to skateboard. But I stood back and I absorbed and I had the motivation to keep learning, and I really wanted to be a part of that. And for me, yeah, man, Boarderline was the jam. You know, it was the local scene. It was driving my motivation, and I think for a lot of young skaters at the time, it was everything for them too.
What's up? What you doing? What's your number? You wanna leave? You wanna get out here? I got a room. I give you my room key. You want champagne? I got champagne.
Twerk, 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 twerk. Tim, he's got a one-of-a-kind personality, real great dude.
Tim's a goof, man. Tim's a goof. He's good though. He's super good. Like, he has the craziest tech tricks that'll just bust out of nowhere. So it's really cool to watch him skate because he'll like do something you've never seen before. That's why I like skating with him.
His skating, he's got this, I want to say this real lazy way about his skating, because he'll go to a spot just talking crap about himself, saying he's not going to get something. He'll warm up, just do a few nose slides or whatever, and then out of nowhere he'll, I don't know, do fakie flip, nose slide, kick flip out like 8th try. So he's pretty, what's the word, lackadaisical about his skating, I guess.
Very competitive guy. He, you know, he gets everybody hyped up, but he's got his own style, keeps it OG.
Now, I was living down in Oregon, and skating year-round down there, and Tim was living up here in Fairbanks, Alaska, where he's skating, you know, 4 or 5 months out of the year. But he'd still come down to Oregon every summer and be better than everybody else that lived down in Oregon. And just like really didn't make sense, like, how is this dude getting this good?
It was just all visual. It's just the way it looked, and like there's no coaches, there's no practices, there's nobody telling you what's right and wrong. It's all about you and the skateboard. It has nothing to do with anything else around you. It's just you and your board. That's what I like about it so much. What made me get into skating is I was in middle school and there's this dude from Kansas. His name was Luke. And he had a board, and I'd never seen anybody really skateboard. They had just built the park in Fairbanks when I was younger, and he lived like right next to me, and he, you know, I'd see him like skating after school and stuff, and he was doing varial flips. And I was like, man, that shit's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty awesome. And then I didn't have my own board. I just like would hang out with him, and then I was in Arizona on a vacation with my dad, and we just randomly were by a skate shop, and I just went in there and just was like, just begged for the skateboard. I was like, I'll do anything. I'll mow the lawn, I'll pull the weeds, I'll do anything you want. I just want to get the skateboard. And he was like, all right. And so that was my first board I ever got when I was like 13 years old.
That was still a really good clip. Good job, Stevie.
Realistically, unless these guys were to actually leave the state and move to California or something like that and really trying to start pushing down there, then, I mean, there's really no chance that anything would ever happen. I definitely want them to, actually have a chance to do something in skateboarding. I mean, chance to do something that I never had a chance to do.
Yeah, it's everybody's dream, I mean, like, there's a lot of dudes that just kind of, that's all they want is to just, be pro. And then there's those dudes that just, like, they don't really care, they're just doing it for the fun of it, which is why we all started anyways, and it's kind of a perk, but it would be nice. It would be nice to get free shoes. There's been videos that have come out, and they're all awesome, and it's like to have something where like kids can be like, these are the dudes that are out there backside flipping 10 stairs, and they're at the park every day hanging out with kids, and it's gonna be good for everybody, and Alaska needs coverage. People need to know that LA and New York aren't the only two places where people rip.
When Dylan came to me and showed me some of the clips of the video, really the first thing I had seen a lot of these skaters skating the park in Girdwood, whatnot, but I just wasn't really ready for the amount of talent I had seen in what Dylan showed me. It was really inspiring. I think that it's important that we have these types of projects. I mean, when you see the amount of preparation that's put into the shoots, the amount of detail that's put into it to make sure that the shot's done right. Myself, as somebody who made films, I can really appreciate that. And somebody who is in front of the lens as a snowboarder or a skateboarder, I know that I just wanted to be made to look as good as possible. You pour your soul into something and you want that guy behind the lens to make that, he's telling a story. You want him to let that shine through. And he only has a couple minutes for each person to let their personality through, to show their heart, their soul, and everything that they've put a year or more into. And he's got to put that together in a way that conveys all of that and lets the audience get to know those kids. So when we talk about Alaska skateboarders and them trying to get exposure, when you do a video like this, it's painting them in that light and letting them express themselves in a way that's beautiful and artistic, that makes something that really should be treasured. And we haven't had that in this town in a long time. We have had some other videos, but somebody to put something together with this much thought beforehand, attention to detail, and really love and passion behind it, we need that. We need more of it, and we need it every year here, because that kind of thing begets more of that kind of thing. And just as somebody who's a nerd in the whole thing, a skate nerd, a snowboard nerd, and just super passionate about it, I love it, and I just want to see more of it. When I was a teenager and I started skating and I started snowboarding, I wanted to be a part of something bigger than me. I think that most everybody does. Even though I was a punk rock kid who said I didn't care what anybody thought, I still wanted to be somewhere that was supportive of what I wanted to do. At that point, nobody liked skaters, nobody liked snowboarders. So when you did it, there were very few of us that did it, and you found the others, you sought them out, and you hung out with them, and you were drawn together. Boarderline, the shop that was around at that time, really pushed snowboarding and skateboarding. It promoted it. The owners were out there, they were skating, they were snowboarding with you, and then when you came in the shop, they were there watching a video with you. They lived it with you. Nowadays, I know that kids don't really have that anymore, and it's time that they get some of that back. So as a shop owner now, I want to be the guy that helps facilitate the next generation of kids living out their dream, whether it's to be a pro or whether it's to get a 5-0 grind at the park. Whatever your dream is, if it has to do with riding a board, I want to help you get to that point, you know? And I hope that that's what the shop does. I hope it just brings positivity to people and to our community, to our board sport community. And that's the best I can hope for.
Yeah, I'm done. He's done. He's done.